operating system. Today we are going to discuss process management. Myself Krunal Panchal, your instructor. Today's agenda is to understand the concept of process and the difference between process and program. Okay, so first of all we will see the introductory part of process, what actually process is in operating system, and then we will discuss the relationship between process and program. Okay, so process management is one of the very important topic in operating system. So process management is one of the functionality which is provided by operating system. Okay, so before going to discuss process, let us discuss first what is program. Okay, because a lot of people have confusion between these two words, what is process and what is program. So all of you are aware about program, but some of you are not aware about process in a proper manner. So let us discuss first program, and then we will discuss process, and then we will discuss the relationship, or we can say difference between process and program. Okay, so let us begin. So to understand the concept of process, first of all, as I told you, you need to understand the concept of program. So what is program? So before going to discuss program, so I am giving you the brief idea regarding different components of computer system. Okay, with the help of this figure, okay, you can see that there are three main components of computer system. Okay, one is CPU, second one is memory. Okay, and memory is divided into two categories. One is main memory and second one is secondary memory. When we are talking about main memory, it is nothing but RAM and ROM, and when we are talking about secondary memory, it is nothing but hard disk. So these three components, with the help of these three components, we are trying to discuss the concept of process and program. Okay, this is a basic figure, or we can say a brief idea regarding the concept of process and program. But once we discuss this figure, then I will tell you in detail, okay, what actually process means. Okay, so as you can see in the figure, there is one secondary memory. It means what? That is nothing but a hard disk which contains certain programs. Okay, like P1, P2, P3, P4 and P5 are nothing but programs which resides in secondary memory. Now if these programs needs to be executed in the CPU, this program cannot directly interact with the CPU because it is located into a secondary memory. Okay, this program and secondary memory is not compatible with CPU. CPU cannot directly deal with secondary memory, and vice versa case, a secondary memory cannot directly deal with a CPU. So because of these two devices are not compatible with each other in terms of processing speed, because CPU can execute millions of instructions per time, but at the same time secondary memory is very slow as compared to CPU. So that's why because of this incompatibility, the CPU cannot directly interact with the secondary memory. Now in this particular figure, if we have these 5 programs which resides in secondary memory, and these programs needs to be executed in the CPU, what will happen? This program somehow we need to fetch from the secondary memory and put it into a main memory. Okay, so that this program can be executed with the help of CPU, because CPU can directly deal with main memory. So that's why we need to take that program from secondary memory, okay, somehow, and put it into a main memory so that we can execute it. So this is the brief idea. So whenever you want to execute any program, that program needs to be loaded into a main memory first, and then it can be executable in the CPU. So how we can do it? So that programs which resides in secondary memory, that will be fetched by the operating system and put it into a main memory. But what do you mean by program? Program is nothing but a set of instruction, okay, and which resides in secondary memory. Yes, so that program cannot directly executable in the CPU. First of all, we need to, because programs is written in any high level language program. Say for example, suppose if you write one C program, okay, that is written in high level language, and high level language is not interpretable by the machine, because machine can understand only binary language, or you can say machine code. Okay, so first of all, if you want to execute that program, we need to convert that program into a binary executable code, and then that programs can be interpretable by machine, and it will be executed at the end by the CPU. Okay, so that programs needs to be converted first. Okay, so once you write a program in C, it is in high level language, so that what we'll do, that program resides in secondary memory. Once we written that program, then we will save that program and compile it with the help of compiler. Now once it will be compiled by the compiler, what compiler will do? Compiler will generate the binary executable code of that program. Okay, and then once we have that binary executable code, okay, that programs needs to be loaded into a main memory, and then that can be possible for execution in the CPU. But once that binary executable program loaded into a main memory, still the task is not over. Okay, this is insufficient stuff. We need to have because as I told you, once we have the binary executable code, with the help of that code, we cannot directly interact with the CPU. We require some resources for that to execute in the CPU. So we require the resources that we will see in the later slide. Okay, so that things you need to keep in your mind, and who will provide the resources, who will load that programs into a main memory. So what is the brain behind it? The operating system will take these things, will take this scenario. Okay, means what? Operating system will fetch that programs from the secondary memory and put it into a main memory. At the same time, it requires some other resources for execution, so that resources will be provided by the operating system itself. Okay, so now if I want to explain what is process. So process is nothing but program in execution. Means the moment the process which resides in main memory, the moment program start its execution, okay, so that is nothing but a process. So programming execution is nothing but a process. Means once it resides in main memory, now that process is ready for execution. Once the resource is allocated to that process, now process start its execution. At that moment, we can say that that is nothing but a process. Okay, so these things you have to keep in your mind. Program is passive entity and process is nothing but active entity. Means program is loaded into a memory until and unless you fetch that program and make it executable to the CPU. That program will reside in the secondary memory, or you can say in the memory. Yes, so that's why it is called passive entity, and process is nothing but active entity. Once that program is loaded into a main memory, that program would be and once it is started executing that program in the CPU, at that time we can say that that program is nothing but a process. Okay, so process is also known as a task, or we can say job. So these are the different names we have. If you refer different books, they have considered different term as far as process is concerned. So task you can say job is nothing but a process. Okay, now as I told you in the previous slide, suppose if I have written one program in C, and compiler will simply compile that program and make it binary executable program, so that machine can directly interact with it for its execution. So that is the scenario of the program. So that is resides in secondary memory. Now the second figure we have in this slide is nothing but processing. It is dedicated for processing main memory. Means once that program is converted into a binary executable code, now that program, as I told you, needs to be loaded into a main memory. Okay, and who is responsible for that? Operating system will load that program into a main memory. So once it is located into once it fetched into a main memory, so it requires some space to store that program in main memory. So that task will be handled by the operating system itself. Clear? So process has its own address space in which it runs. Means what? Process are independent with each other. Means what? They are executing in different address space. Okay, so that things you have to keep in your mind. Now the process, once process is loaded into a main memory, as I told you, it requires some space. So the operating system will create one structure. Okay, it will create one structure to load that program into a main memory. So that structure contains various sections, or we say various region. So first section is nothing but text, or we say code region. Means what? Text or code region means it contains binary executable program that we have created with the help of compiler in the secondary memory, that will be loaded in this section. So code, or we say text section, contains what? Binary executable program. Okay, now the next section is data region, or we say data section. Data section contains local variables and global variables which resides in this section. Means what? To execute that programs requires some static variables and global variables, and the scope of that variables is limited to this process only. These local variables cannot be accessible by some other process. If this process wants to access some other process resources, in that case segmentation fault will occur. Okay, so this memory area cannot be accessible by another process. Okay, so that is nothing but a data region which contains local variables, and we can say global variables. Now the next two sections, one is heap section and second one is stack section. These two sections is very important as far as heap region, or we say heap section is concerned. What will happen in this case? You can see in between stack region and heap region in the figure, there is one dotted line I have drawn. Means what? This is not an actual partition, or we say this is not a physical partition. This is nothing but a virtual partition we have. Okay, and with the help of this, why it is denoted in terms of dotted line? Because the heap region and stack region is not fixed, because these two regions memory allocation is finalized at the time of running the program. Clear? So means what? Heap region, or we say heap section, is dedicated for what? At the time of program execution, it requires dynamic memory allocation that is required. Okay, like say for example, if you are using C programming, in that case malloc, calloc functions we have, through which we can dynamically allocate the memory. In the case of Java we have new. So at runtime, if we require some memory, so that things would be reside in the heap section. So that's why because we don't have prior knowledge how much space is required before executing that program in the CPU, that we don't know, it is unpredictable. So that is the reason why this heap section will vary as per the requirement of the program. Same way stack section is vary as per the requirement of program for execution. Means stack region or stack section is intended for what? It is basically used for function call, recursion. Yes. So if you know very well what is recursion, program or we say function call itself, it is nothing but recursion. Yes. So stack region is basically used for function call, and again this memory area is not fixed. It is again according to the execution of that program runtime, we can come to know that how much stack memory is required, okay, for this particular program. So that's why again this section is not fixed. It may vary as per the requirement of the program at the time of execution. So that's why I have drawn one arrow which is coming from top to bottom as far as stack region is concerned, and one arrow we have in the heap region. It is starting from bottom to top. Okay, so means what? According to the requirement of program, heap section will grow and shrink. Same way, according to the requirement of the program at runtime, stack region will be grow or it will be shrink. Means what? Grow and shrink is nothing but it will increase or decrease as per the requirement of the program at the time of execution. So that's why this dotted line is drawn by me. Clear? So I hope it is clear. Now this is the all about this four section. This four section is dedicated for a single process in main memory. So this particular memory slot is dedicated for this process only. No other process can, as I told you earlier, no other process can use these sections. If any process trying to execute or trying to use this section, definitely segmentation fault will occur. So that's why the sentence is written: process has its own address space in which it runs. Process cannot execute, cannot cross this boundary. Okay, this is the boundary, or we can say in which it can run. Clear? So this address space is divided into four sections. This is very important, you need to keep in your mind. Now next one is, as I told you, process is an active entity. Yes, it is an active entity and program is passive entity. So what is active entity and what is passive entity? I can again give you some real life example. Suppose if I am active entity. Why I am active? Because suppose for example, suppose if I am using this wireless presenter right now, this device I am using. Okay, so this is nothing but one object, and this object is nothing but, we can say, passive entity. This object is nothing but a passive entity, and I am a active entity. Why? Because through subject, because I am a subject and this is object, so through subject I can access this object. So that's why it is that is the reason why this object is nothing but passive entity, and myself is nothing but we can say active entity. Yes, because if I do not touch this object, okay, this object will not move from one place to another place, or this object cannot be operable. Yes, so that's why it is called passive. So same way, if program resides in secondary memory and if it is not accessible by any CPU, so it will reside in secondary memory in a passive manner. Okay, but once it fetch by the operating system for execution in the CPU, in that case it will be active, and active program is nothing but we can say a process once it is loaded into a main memory. Clear? So process is an active entity that requires a set of resources, as I told you, not only executable file but also it requires some resources like CPU, it requires program counter, it requires registers to perform its functions. Yes, program counter and register, these are these things we will discuss in the next session, in which we will discuss process control block, because these are the part of process control block. Clear? So this is nothing but process. Now multiple processes may be associated with one program. That is possible. I will show you, I will give you the justification of this sentence with the help of an example. Okay, that I will show you in the last slide of my presentation. So I will keep as it is. Okay, I am not going to explain these things because I will explain it with the help of an example. Okay, now a process, one more idea regarding process is what a process is used as a fundamental unit for resource allocation in operating system. Fundamental unit of resource allocation in operating system. Process is a heavyweight task. Why it is called heavyweight task? Again, I will tell you the difference between, once we will discuss difference between process and thread. In that case, I will explain this sentence in detail, but right now I am going to discuss in brief. So process is a heavyweight task because each process, why it is called heavyweight task? Because each process is associated with one process control block. Okay, that is nothing but one data structure we have. Okay, each process is associated with one data structure called PCB, stands for process control block, and it requires many information within it. So that is the reason why it is called as heavyweight task. Okay, or heavyweight you can say job. Okay, now once we discuss the process and program, now we are going to differentiate this two terms. Some of the topics we have already covered. Okay, so what is the difference between process and program? As I told you, process is a program in execution and program is nothing but a set of instructions which resides in secondary memory. That is the first difference between process and program. Now the second difference is what? Process, this difference is already explained by me, okay, in the previous slide. Process is an active entity and program is passive entity. Okay, so now I hope it is clear to you. Now the next difference between process and program. So process exists in a limited span of time, whereas program exists at a single place and continue to exist. Why? Because as I told you, once you do not fetch that program which is located into a secondary memory, that program will remain as it is. Okay, nothing will happen with that program. So that's why the lifespan of that program is large as compared to process, because when program will become a process when it is loaded into a main memory. Yes, so definitely lifespan of process is limited as compared to program. Okay, the next difference is process is a dynamic entity and program is static entity. Again, this is a self-explanatory sentence. Yes, because as I told you, once it is remaining in the secondary memory, it will be in a passive mode. So that's why it is called static, and process will be executed as per the requirement. So that's why it is as per the requirement. That is the reason why it is considered as dynamic entity. Okay. Now the next difference between process and program is process holds resources such as CPU, disk, as well as IO devices. Yes, so as I told you, so if process, a binary executable program which loads in main memory is not sufficient, to execute that binary executable code in the CPU. It requires certain resources. Okay, so process requires certain resources for execution, like CPU. It requires I/O devices. It requires program counter. It requires different registers and as well. Okay, whereas in the case of program is stored on disk and does not require any other resources. So it is not required to explain. Yes. Now in the last example I have given any C program in execution would be considered as process, and any C program stored somewhere passively, okay, that is nothing but a program, because we have not executed that program. It is stored somewhere, so that program would be considered as a program itself. And once it is loaded into main memory and start executing, the moment it start execute that program, that at that time we can consider that program as a process. So you can as far as relationship between program and process, I can give you one more example. Okay, so that you can understand more as far as this two term is concerned, which is very important in process management. So a program, we can say a process is nothing but, we can say, a body, and program is nothing but a soul. So without soul, the man would be considered as a dead man. Yes. So without programs means what? Process is kind of real entity, and program is nothing but virtual, because a body is physical and physical thing, and the soul is nothing but a virtual thing. So without soul, the process cannot do anything. So without soul, human would be considered as a dead person. So this is the we can say relationship between a process and program. And if you want to realize these things more, so what are the programs and what are the processes, background processes we have in the computer system. So if you want to realize these things, you can realize with the help of one program, which is nothing but a task manager. If you open a task manager, okay, I have the snapshot, okay, through which I will explain. So with the help of this, if you open this task manager, okay, you will have the set of processes and set of application programs that you are executing right now. So I have taken this snapshot in which the Firefox is the first three is nothing but application program, and the remaining ones are nothing but background processes. Okay, so I have opened Firefox at that time, Task Manager, and Microsoft PowerPoint. These three programs I have opened at that time, and associated processes of that program is nothing but, you can see that a single program may have multiple processes. That sentence I have written in the previous slide, and I told you I will explain that stuff with the help of one example. So this is nothing but an example. So a single application program may have multiple processes. So you can see that in the application we have one Firefox, and in background processes there are more than one Firefox processes, which is associated with different tabs in Firefox, or there's a different background processes of the Firefox. So this is the clear-cut example through which you can understand the process and program very well. Okay, so I hope it was clear to you. Thanks for watching this video. See you in the next one.